everybody, welcome to 2024, and I have a question for you today. What if your dream car is not available the country you live in, or there is an importation ban in the country you live in this case is Thailand? Well, so Henry come up with the idea, so you just have to build it for yourself. Alright, so what is this Alldays Onions brand which nobody heard about? Well, I didn't heard about it until Henry told me what he's building, and this company been around for a very long time, since the 1650s I reckon. They built and sold bellows for blacksmith, and they decided to go into the motor car business in 1889. The first one was more like a quad cycle with a one-cylinder engine from Didion. It was only 4 horsepower. That was it. It's only 19 years of production of cars, which I consider very rare. So it begs the question, why he chose exactly this to build? But let's find out. Alright, Henry, thank you for doing this. So if you don't know, Henry is the second time on the channel. So what is this actually, Henry?
This is as close as you're gonna probably find for a repro on Alldays Onions 1416. That was basically the model that I chose. I took a lot of liberties and didn't make it exactly the same, so I wasn't trying to make it a full duplicate. I was just trying to get close.
So I was thinking about this question a lot, that as I said, it's very rare, and you decided to build this specific car, and I'm guessing you got an inspiration from somewhere?
Yeah,
right?
Actually we did. It was primarily because in New Zealand, while we were traveling there a few years ago, we sat in an Alldays Onions, actually I think it's the same model, in a museum. And after I had finished the Land Rover, I said, hey, I've got to do something now, my hands are idle, so I've got to build something, and how about we build a very old car? And we thought about it, and I pulled out the photo from New Zealand, and sure enough, the wife said, sure, I'd like that car. There it is.
So my question was in my mind, how did you get all the information for this car?
Of course, that was a lot of the process of looking for the very few photos that are online for these vehicles, trying to project them onto basically a board, and then making measurements off of the board.
Yep.
So that was how I got the rough measurements for the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing was, one person in America had his Alldays Onions professionally restored.
Yeah.
And in his excitement, he took lots of photos, and that ended up becoming quite a blueprint for this project.
Alrighty. When did you start building this?
About 8 months ago.
Really? Okay, yeah. So this is a replica for 1916 Alldays Onions. How accurately 100% this build is?
It's not really very accurate, but it's close enough that actually if you knew the Alldays, you would say, oh my gosh, it's an Alldays. So it's close
Right.
enough you could get it.
Nothing sticks out for me, but I would say, no, this is no way an Alldays, you know, it's absolutely convincing to me. And so what is the chassis actually?
The chassis is a 1973 Mazda Familia.
All right.
Which is a very popular car here in Thailand. It's a small pickup truck that was used and still is used quite frequently. And I just took that and stripped it down, moved the motor down and back, shortened the drive shaft, cut the chassis, and built a subframe on top to support the wood, and Bob's your uncle.
So you made everything on this car?
Yes, I did everything everything except for the wood wheels, obviously, the fuel tank, the radiator core I did not make, but I made the brass around it. And what else didn't I make? I didn't paint the car. There you go.
All right, well, fair enough. So it begs the question, who makes wooden wheels anymore? Is there anybody who does that? Wood wheels?
The wood wheels, yes. The wood wheels I had custom made. You might want to zoom in. I had these custom made in Pennsylvania. The hubs I manufactured in Lamphun, which is just south of here. And it's got the 4 lug nuts for the Mazda.
Okay.
And then the rims I had made in Australia, and I sent the hub and the rim to Pennsylvania, and a man named Bill made the wood wheels for me.
I have a question. So how does this wood rim stays in the steel rim?
Yeah, it's actually really clever. So there's 2 things. First of all, it's pressed into the rim.
All right.
So it's actually quite a fit. And then on the inside, there's pegs.
I see.
You can't see them, but it's fixed from the inside.
I never heard this company, Blockly. So I'm guessing the wood. I'm guessing the tire was not an easy test to get it.
The tires, actually this one's a little bit narrower. The tread's a little bit narrower than I would have liked, but the one that's wider is completely out of stock worldwide. And they only do production about every 2 years. So I had to go for a slightly smaller grip, and Broccoli was the only company that could send it to me right away. So
where are they? Blockly?
In the UK.
UK.
And there's only about 3 manufacturers of these tires worldwide, of this type of tire. Now, there's only 5 places that do wood wheels worldwide as well.
Okay. Another question is a breast, right?
Yes.
This is a breast, and it should have like a.
So these are actually kerosene lanterns. They would have had.
It is actually.
It would have been a kerosene lantern. It would have had a container here, like those have.
Yeah.
And of course, you'd have to light a light, and it would, it'd be burning in there, and that would be your light. I've already adapted these to be turn signals and running lights, and those are headlights.
And these are like
they're original.
Period.
Absolutely.
Original for this car.
I'm not sure if they're for this car, but they're definitely period.
It would have been this one on an original.
Yes.
That is awesome. It looks a little bit different.
These ones they got a different lens.
Okay.
And so these are really good for the headlights. I've got halogen headlights in here. So this was something that actually we came up with. It's an Alldays Onions, and that is of course the Thai word for onion. Yep. And we thought that it would be the appropriate thing for it was made in Thailand, and it really isn't an Alldays Onion. It's Alldays in my own creation. So there it is.
All right. So moving on. Then the engine is from the Mazda.
Yes, the engine is a Mazda. What I did is I put a new carburetor on it because the old one was shot, and then the carburetor is 2 barrels, and I took 1 barrel out. I just disconnected it, and I did that to reduce the power.
So this side we got the side steps, obviously here. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. That's a fuel tank over here. So how big is this fuel tank?
It's about 17 liters.
And this is where the original would have been?
Yes, this is where the original fuel tank would have been mounted.
And when we were at the gas station, there's a proper gauge for it, right here. As you can see, full, half, and empty.
Make it simple.
It reminded me of an old Eastern European car, the Trabant, at the same thing. In the engine bay. Is this configuration, is this like with no clutch, brake, and where is the...
No, they would have set it up differently. I'm not really too sure how it was set up. There wasn't a lot of clear pictures, so I kind of adapted it. These pedals were from above going down, so I had to reconfigure them to be coming from below and up.
Right.
But it still has the brake booster. It's still mounted in there.
So that's the clutch now?
Yep, it's the clutch and the brake. I mean, it's standard.
And where is the...
The accelerator is here. You just press down on it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it definitely controls the amount you can press. Okay,
And
that's the emergency brake. So
All
I'm
right.
not really happy with that. But when I went to have the car registered, I needed a brake. So I put the emergency brake where I could,
Mhm.
and it works great. So I'll probably leave it there.
All right then. I guess these are storages here.
No, actually,
No?
we can have a look in here.
Yeah, sure.
This is a little bit interesting. Unfortunately, the emergency brake got in the way, but it still works well enough to have a look at. So this is the electrical.
Oh. So if it's not there, you can just
Yeah,
pull
you
it
can
out.
actually, it comes all the way out to here, but it got blocked.
Very clever, I have to say.
Yep.
Oh, there's kill switch right there.
Yep, exactly. So I may cut out this a bit so I can pull it out a little bit further, but it's so you can access it. You don't have to climb in underneath.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the battery.
Okay. All right then.
The upholstery. I'd like to talk about that.
Sure
'cause
thing.
That was a bit of work. The upholstery, I did the upholstery myself, pretty much because I didn't want to try to explain to somebody what to do. I felt it would be easier to do myself. It's real leather, and
Okay.
took some time to learn how to do it, but after a while, it starts to work better.
And you got the passenger side, period correct something.
It's available on the market.
It's available. Okay.
What this is obviously a luggage box, and
Yeah.
the original one, quite nice. It had two suitcases inside that slid into it, and you pull them out. But this one I bought without it, and this intends to be my drink caddy.
Oh my.
Bottles of wine, glasses, and
Yeah.
the ice bucket. So that's
All right.
for tailgating. What was the most difficult thing to do?
Yeah.
If not the upholstery, then definitely these bars. So these
Mhm.
bars are made from aluminum,
All right.
and it's almost a solid piece of aluminum, and I had to bend it like this.
So it's curved.
It's curved, so I had to do all these compound bends, and then screwing it on was not difficult, but getting the bends right was it was a bit of work.
And why did you do it then?
Because it's
It was on the original one as well.
something like that. They probably used wood or something. I'm not sure what they used, but I figured it was going to be as close as I'm going to get to original. And it holds the panels on. This is aluminum.
And we arrived to the. That sounds cool. You got the deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going on here?
Okay, so this is the shifting. Now, it still has the Mazda transmission,
Yeah.
which had a stick shift. And obviously, you can't use the stick shift. That's really period incorrect.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to pull it out here. So what I did is I figured out how to use a bevel box and different rod ends and connecting pieces and put it all together so that it could shift. And this is actually the pattern.
Meaning like
So-
low.
So what it is, it's neutral. When it's in neutral, you
Yeah.
can shift between forward and reverse.
Okay.
Once you're in forward or reverse, you can go to low gear or high gear. And if you're in reverse, then you can go to reverse.
I see.
That's all.
It's quite rudimentary instrument panel. That's a
Tachometer.
tachometer.
Yeah,
That's all you need.
that's all I need. I have a Speedo hiding in here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think it's in here. So I have a Speedo
Oh, I
hiding
can
in
see
here,
it from here.
but it's not period correct, so I hide it.
Oh, okay. In Thailand, why doesn't it have a top? You don't need a top?
Actually, we do need a top. And the story of the top is one that I haven't gotten to yet because it's quite complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I should be able to find enough of the parts and be able to do the mechanism so it can fold back properly. But I don't know if I want to do it myself, so I might just find some place to do it. But what I was really stuck on was how to mount it. Okay, so mounting the top was a challenge. So
There's nowhere to mount.
Well, I thought I'd do it later. And then I decided I probably won't be able to do it later. So I decided to do it before I finished the car. I went and did it after it was assembled and I was about to paint it. I did the mounting. So you can see there's a threaded bolt here.
Yeah.
So, and there's another one on the other side. And this is on a very thick piece of steel that goes down to another very solid piece of steel that shoots across and is all bolted into the frame and then also goes down to the frame. So this is an extremely solid mounting point now. And this is where the roof would have been mounted at the top. Next,
Yes.
the windshield.
The windshield, yes.
So the windshield again is something that I couldn't make myself. However, they are available. I can purchase them and I probably will try to size it and see if I can find one that's the right size. And I made this piece so I can take it off right here. And that's where the windshield mounts. So it mounts on top and then it comes up and then the roof comes to it. And then you take stays down and I put these bars on here specifically so I can put the stays on to hold the windshield.
Okay.
The leather straps that come down.
Yeah.
So it's planned.
And the steering wheel.
Yes, the steering wheel.
It looks like a T model steering wheel.
I don't actually know what car this came from. It came from America. It's 100 years old.
That's probably a T model, and I'm not sure.
It's the real deal. And the steering column I got in a junkyard here. And it was an excellent find because it was absolutely perfect for what was needed. And it goes into a bevel box, which is a 90-degree box, which I also found in the same junkyard. And that shoots up through a shaft I made up to the the steering rack. And that's why this juts out like this. I mean, obviously that's not period style, but I had to do that because the steering box is right there.
Can we go around a bit?
Sure.
A little drive?
Absolutely.
Right. Adi, jump on the back. It's quite a different feeling compared to a modern car. You look like you're gliding in the air.
Yeah.
Wow, it's pretty cool actually. It's quite cold. I mean, not cold, but
It's got a breeze.
you got the breeze in your face. So what's the top speed?
I've tried to fix it to 40 kilometers an hour. The wood wheels don't want to take a lot of turn pressure on them.
This is quite something. I never sit in anything from the 1910s, I tell you that. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, this would have been interesting to cross the country in.
Yeah. So you're planning to go to a road trip in Thailand with this?
I'm not really sure yet, but we'll do that. Let me show you the reverse, because that's interesting.
Yeah.
So we might want to get a close-up on the reverse. So the first thing we do is we have to go into neutral, then we have to select reverse, and then we have to select reverse again.
You don't need an aircon with this thing, right?
Well, if the air was hot, it would be no fun, but the air is nice and cool at this time of year.
Am I privileged to see this firsthand before the club?
Yes.
Oh, see? Nobody's seen it yet.